say first, I did not organize this. A collection of independent journalists and street photographers and video journalists organized this. They don't necessarily want to be named. It's not really like our thing to be in front of the camera. So I'm here because I'm loud. So hopefully you all can hear me. The NYPD is not allowing us to use amplified sound except for a phone call that we're going to make later. They said either we could pay $45 in a money order, like I just have one of those on me, or we have to yell. Can you guys all hear me? Is journalism a crime? No! Then why are we being arrested? Why are we being assaulted? Why are our protections being attacked, not just in New York City, not just in the United States, but internationally?
Autocracy.
Autocracy.
Fascism.
It is not normal for press to organize protests. This is not what we do. I learned last night that there is a difference between a media advisory and a press release, and I've been receiving them for 5 years. I had no idea. Who knew? Thank you for educating me, activists that reached out to help, because you guys saw that we were drowning. This is not normal for us. We don't do this. The last time press organized something, it was a vigil for journalists who had been killed in Palestine, who had been killed by Israel. And that was 2 years ago. It is not normal for us to be doing this, so it means a lot that you're here. We are here for 2 different incidents that have, motivated us to come out and flag you all and sound the alarm that journalism is under attack. The first being the arrest of a photojournalist for documenting a protest activity after it happened. Shame! Shame! Their home was raided in the middle of the in the early morning pre-dawn raid.
Shame!
All of their equipment was taken, so they cannot do their job. A fellow photographer who was staying with them had his equipment seized too.
Shame!
Despite telling them, I'm not affiliated, this has nothing to do with me, they took his equipment, threatening his livelihood. They threw him against a wall, and he's going to talk about this later. They threw him against a wall and they took his phone so he could not document what they were doing.
Shame!
They detained him and this photojournalist's wife, and then took the photojournalist away outside the confines of New York City. They extradited a photojournalist from outside of New York City.
Shame!
For documenting paint on a building after it happened. They are being charged with a hate crime for protected political speech against the executive editor of the New York Times, which has a well-documented history of whitewashing genocide.
Shame!
Not only is our work as journalists being attacked, but speech itself is under attack, not just in New York City, but nationally. This is a 5-alarm fire for press. We do not expect, as street journalists, for mainstream outlets to care, because we're the weird ones. We're the loud ones. We're the ones that don't care if we get thrown to the ground or thrown up against a wall, because we're going to get up and do it again. We are barely seeing the beginnings of authoritarianism and autocracy, and it is coming for us. We are the canaries in the coal mine. And when they silence us, they close your eyes to the truth. So I thank you for being here. I thank my colleagues that are out in the streets, getting thrown around, getting arrested, having their equipment broken, and continuing to show up because that is the work.
That's right.
We are not in this to make money. We are not in this to become known people sitting behind a desk at the 6 o'clock hour. We are doing this because we love the work. And we are here today because that work is under attack. So again, thank you. And I'm gonna figure out who's next. This is gonna be a very awkward transition. Yeah. Thank you for trying. Thank you for trying. Yeah, we're not organizers. Let's see, is Ian here? Ian.
Hey, Ian.
All right, Ian, would you like to come up? So this is the photographer who was present when our colleague's home was raided, and he's going to speak a little bit.
So I'm not a public speaker, I'm a photographer. That's why I take pictures. And I will do my best.
Everyone move closer!
So first and foremost, obviously I was devastated and shocked by the events that took place on Sunday the 28th of September. I was there to witness the entire situation. I was a guest of Alexa and their wife for the weekend to escape some personal trauma that I've been experiencing recently. We spent Saturday afternoon together and had just a chill, wonderful time. And I slept over that night, woke early, went for a walk in the early hours of the morning, returned to the house, and there was a knock at the door, a gentle knock at the door, and I answered the door, not suspecting it was going to be anything significant. And there, standing right in front of me, was a riot police officer holding a shield, blocking the exit to the house. And I was told to leave the property. He was backed up by several other police officers, and I attempted to shut the door to give myself some time to think. He put his foot in the door, blocked it from closing. I took a step back. Fortunately, I had my camera in my phone in my hand, not this phone, the phone that's in that building over there right now. The phone that was taken from me, and I started recording, which is all you can do in that situation. To cut a long story short, we were asked to vacate the property as they executed a warrant. Upon exiting the building, my phone was slapped from my hand as I was recording. I was pushed up firmly against the wall, my head hit the wall, and I was placed in handcuffs. I looked over to see Alexa suffering the same treatment, and her wife was also being pushed and taken downstairs. They took Alexa from my view, couldn't see her, and they sat me and Alexa's wife downstairs. Eventually the cuffs were taken off me. I tried to get my camera back, my phone, and I was refused. I was denied access to my phone. I didn't have anything to take notes with, so I asked the officers for a pen. They wouldn't provide a pen, and so I had to run up the street to find a pen from a coffee shop, and I started taking notes. Now, what Alexa is going through right now is absolutely abhorrent. The actions, in my opinion, is an overreach from the DA's office. They currently hold all of our cameras, computers, any hard drives that were in the house, my memory cards. I'm unable to continue taking photographs and until I get a new camera. I've been to One Park Plaza, Police Plaza, to get my equipment back, and they refused. They denied the return of my equipment. I want to just say a huge thanks to everyone that helped me get legal support for Alexa on Sunday. Without the phone, I had to rush back to New York City because we was upstate, and I got home as quickly as possible to access my contacts on my computer and start making phone calls. Everyone rushed into action, and Alexa was released over an entire day. She was released at 2 a.m. on Monday morning. She's doing well, as well as can be expected. Everyone's shaken up. There are more victims in this than the intended targeted victim. Her wife, their wife, myself, her family, their family, sorry. Alexa identifies as they, them, just so you know. And I just want to thank everyone for being here today, and I want to thank Talia for organising, and whoever else organised this event. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we're going to hear a few words from Wiley Stecklow, an attorney that does First Amendment rights stuff and has a couple of journalists who are his clients who have been assaulted while covering ICE detainments at 26 Federal Plaza. So everyone, give it up for Wiley.
It's always been my privilege to represent so many brave, incredibly emotionally strong and fierce journalists like yourselves. There was a crazy day in May 29th, and I received a text from one of the journalists, one of my friends, Michael Nigro. And he said to me, the Ted Weiss Federal Building is preventing us from entering, and we know it's a public space. Also, as far as we know, they do not have anything posted that we cannot take pictures or videos. Wondering if you could do something about that. I happen to be over here in the Southern District of New York, and so I waltzed on over to the Ted Weiss Federal Building, and through some legal arguing, some legal wrangling, even some perhaps physicality, we were able to turn around the denied access into First Amendment honored access. Yes. So we now have that. I love being in Foley Square because I love this quote on this building. George Washington famously said, "The true administration of justice is the firmest pillar of good government." These are a succinct, straightforward few words underpinning our government and our society. But you know what does not support the good administration of justice? Breaking promises to non-citizens.
Yes.
Right.
Heavy-handed, violent law enforcement. Complaining about fair and accurate reporting on heavy-handed, violent law enforcement. Mass law enforcement. This does not support good government. Mass law enforcement with no training, no supervision, and sadly no self-control. Failing to honor the First Amendment rights of the journalists, including the freedom of the press. This does not help support the true administration of justice. All this does is facilitate the loss of respect for our city and our country in this world. The freedom of press is fundamental to the true administration of good government.
That's right.
The Fourth Estate is more than just a term of art. It is recognition, it is acknowledgement of the extreme importance the press has to protect our society from overreaching and harmful executive, legislative, judicial branches of government. Justice Louis Brandeis famously said nearly 100 years ago, in his advocacy for transparency and publicity as a way to combat corruption and support good governance. He said that sunlight is said to be the best of disinfectants.
Right.
And you all, the journalists, you are the ones honoring Justice Brandeis. You are the ones honoring George Washington's words. You bring the light to darkness. You bring light to dark situations at great physical and emotional toll to yourselves.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It's my privilege to support and represent you in this effort. And just like we're hearing, I'm here to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
When journalism is under attack, what do we do? What do we do? When journalists are under attack, what do we do? Thank you. Woo! I should have used that time better. Up next, we are going to have some people who are part of a weekly protest against the New York Times. They're going to talk a little bit about what their protest is for, to kind of give a little bit more context that we might not otherwise see in reporting about Alexa Wilkinson's arrest. So if they want to come forward and give a little talk, that'd be great. Thank you.
Can you all hear me?
Okay, fine.
It is disgusting, but no surprise that the imperialist bourgeois mouthpiece of death, known as the New York Times, is targeting journalists here after signing the death warrant of over 300 journalists in Gaza. This is no surprise. Through passive language and obfuscation and burying the lead, the New York Times has been whitewashing the genocide in Gaza for the past 2 years, but for a long time before that. They have fabricated.
The New York Times, it is no coincidence that they have now turned their fangs on journalists here in New York City after cheering on the assassinations of well over 300 journalists in Gaza.
Shame! Shame!
The death toll of journalists in Gaza now exceeds the combined total of World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and the Iraq War. Shame!
Shame!
The New York Times personally signed the death warrants of Anas al-Sharif, of Hossam Shabbat, of Shireen Abu Akleh, of Roshni Sarraj, and now they target a journalist here in New York City just for documenting a protest.
Shame!
It is no surprise when the entirety of their leadership is compromised. Their Jerusalem correspondents, their chief editor, all have family and friends who were enlisted in the IOF and commit genocide in Gaza. Shame! That is why we protest. And that is the influence that the New York Times holds in the world, who can convince the NYPD and the fascist federal agents that raided journalists to do so on their orders. Shame!
Shame!
We have been there every single week and we have watched their executives, their donors, their editors walking shamelessly to sign hit piece after hit piece against innocent Palestinian civilians and journalists.
Shame! Their role as the paper of record is to whitewash imperialism, is to whitewash genocide, and to manufacture consent for these atrocities. They are marketing to the average American citizen through games, through their influence, through their fancy font that convinces you that they're credible, that they're reliable, when really what they are is a blood-stained mouthpiece for empire. Shame on them! Shame on Israel! Shame on America! Shame!
The New York Times receives directives from Israeli intelligence on what words they can and cannot use. Their internal memos have been leaked to us on what they are allowed to say. This is the very opposite of the impartial reporting standard they claim to have upheld. But this is nothing new for the New York Times. In the 1930s, they had correspondents who were Nazis. Shame!
Shame!
Nothing has changed. The New York Times remains a mouthpiece for fascism and imperialism. They target journalists abroad. They target human rights workers. They whitewash the very empire that developed a double tap strategy. After assassinating civilians and bombing hospitals, they will bomb them a second time to kill any journalists and first responders who rush to the scene to cover it and help people. Shame!
Shame!
But we are undeterred. We will not be intimidated. We will not be repressed. The journalists of the world, the true journalists, speak the truth of the people, and we will fight for them the way they have fought for us. It is right to resist!
It is right to resist!
Fight back for our journalists!
Fight back for our journalists!
It is right to resist!
It is right to resist!
Fight back for our journalists!
Fight back for our journalists!
For Anas al-Sharif, for Hossam Shabat, for Shireen Abu Akleh, for Rusty Siraj, and every other journalist whose death warrants the New York Times signed.
And for all of the living journalists that are still fighting every single day to deliver the news to you, the truth about what is happening on the ground in Gaza, seek them out, follow them, listen to their stories. They are fighting for their lives.
When journalists are under attack, what do we do? When journalists are under attack, what do we do? Up next, we have photographer Neil Constantine, who's going to share a little bit about what he has experienced as a photographer in New York City. Neil?
Thank you to everyone that's here right now, here at these steps, here in between all these halls of power that try to create these stains upon our rights. They try to sit there and have these inequalities, these moments of overreach stick. I don't have to tell you that most photojournalists like myself, I don't like to be on this side of this, but what is going on is shameful.
Yes.
It's embarrassing.
Yes.
I don't think I even need to look out to the crowd. I can already see several faces of the press who have been abused by the NYPD, who have been abused by the system at different points. I was arrested last year during covering a protest, one of those for pro-Palestine. People going across the bridge, I being stopped by cops, I letting them know, just like so many have let these people know that seem to either not have enough training or enough care to do any part to truly help the community, to truly protect the people. I tell them I'm a part of the press. I show them the badge in the meekest manner possible. And the guy on the 2 cycle bike says, I don't care, you're going down.
Shame.
Shame!
What I went through is nothing to compare what Alexa went through, what Ian went through, what the other person involved went through. To have your house raided, to have yourself turned upside down, to have your livelihood taken and kept and kidnapped from you while you yourself likely are. Because my charges got dropped, and when my charges got dropped, what did those charges become? That meant I was disappeared for those hours at a time. Alexa was disappeared for those hours at a time, and when those charges drop, that's just kidnapping is what it is.
Right.
That's right.
That's right.
It's hard to say what it is that necessarily can be done to ever rectify or undo the fascism that is upon us right now. But what we do and start and continue from yesterday to the day to tomorrow is being here right now together. Because together we stand. Together we fight.
That's right.
Together we win.
That's right.
Raise your hand if you have been abused by the NYPD. Look around. Press, person alike. There is no tier of injustice. There is just injustice. And we need to stop that. We need to stand together. It's hard to fathom how we can continue to slide where we are going. But the thing is, as we all stick together, we will push this boulder back up the hill. We will push this up. We will go above that cloud that sits above us upon the day. And we will see that sun that shines upon.
That's right.
Because we need to keep clearing the path for those behind us. We need to keep fighting for those that are not yet free. Whether they're here in this city, in this state, in this country, in another country, it does not matter at the end of the day. Injustice has no border, and we will keep fighting for justice. For Alexa. For Ian. For everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you. That's beautiful. Neil Constantine.
Woo!
All right, up next I have another photographer, if you're noticing a trend here, Josh Pacheco, who has also experienced, state repression while in the service of journalism. So, JP, if you want to come up. Woo! You got this.
God, there's so many fucking cameras. Okay.
It's weird, right?
Yeah.
Woo!
I'm really struggling with what to share today, whether it be acts of violence from the NYPD or the LAPD, MPD. I've been in many states and I've encountered violence from Chicago, many divisions of law enforcement. But I want to start with a story that I haven't been able to share yet. They called me faggot. They called me tranny. They threatened to sodomize me and murder me. Police stood there and did nothing. On January 6th in Los Angeles, at a rally during the inauguration of Donald Trump, I was mobbed by over 100, what do you want to call them? Far-right extremists. Masked, some masked. And in the days following, I was contacted by the FBI. They wanted to inquire about my case. If I wanted to press charges for hate crimes against me. I needed a few days to think about that. I've never encountered anything like that before in my life. Eventually I did respond and I said I did want to press charges. The head of that department did not reply. I would call them and email them months on end afterwards with no response. Eventually I would contact a lawyer about a year later, to which he said, unless you really want to go through this court process, I suggest drop it. So this is the type of thing that you can expect as an independent photojournalist, as anyone that is trying to speak truth. This is the type of violence that my community experiences daily. Someone who's queer, visibly. Someone who's trans, non-binary. Someone who is, albeit ethnically ambiguous, but Mexican. We're often targeted first, and in the most violent ways. And in the aftermath, our ability to exercise our freedom of speech freezes. We're unable to continue. Our mental health is affected. Our body is affected. Just last year, I was arrested with another photojournalist at an FIT encampment. The results of that were cuts and bruises, a permanent scar above my eye. Later on that same summer, I was arrested at the DNC with that same photojournalist. Both times instructed to move away from protesters and to document from a curbside, but then taken by a lieutenant and dragged into the violence. It is more important now than ever that we continue to exercise our freedom of speech, especially as we enter an era of revisionist history.
Yes. Right. Yes.
As was stated earlier, the Times is accused, well-documented whitewashing of genocide, of pinkwashing, transphobia, and LGBTQ hate. Greenwashing, climate crisis. Largely funded by the people enacting these abuses, these atrocities. They are not above criticism. And it is largely independent journalists that have to do that work, because the journalists that are there are gagged by their editors, by their funders. And it's up to us, whether we are journalists, whether we are neighbors, whether we are everyday people, to ensure that we all have the right to free speech.
That's right.
There was probably more I wanted to say, but I think that's good.
That was amazing.
Oh, and also to the New York Times, you still haven't paid me for the story about Javier Castillo in 2021.
Thank you, JP. That was amazing and awful. Up next, I want to bring up Reed Dunley to give a couple remarks. Reed was also a member of the press, was grabbed and thrown into the street with the press card visible, thrown down on the ground with all of his gear on while trying to document a protest by the NYPD last year, right? Yeah,
That's
okay.
right.
Go ahead and
Thank you,
have it
thank
up.
you. Reed Dunley, former full-time journalist, current free-time journalist. It's interesting to be at this, stop journalism repression rally. It's like, is Nava still over here? It's like the Spider-Man meme. Everyone's pointing at each other, like, are we here? Are we participating? Talia's giving a speech. Like, what is going on? Everyone should take a selfie or something. Anyways, I'll keep it brief. As Talia mentioned, February 2024, I was documenting a protest in Brooklyn, a protest against the genocide. I got my ass beat by a bunch of NYPD officers. About 5 people threw me on the ground, kind of spun me around. I still have a bruise on my elbow. I give everyone permission to touch my elbow if you want to. It's still all fucked up today. A bunch of y'all were there. A bunch of y'all took pictures of it, talked to me afterwards. What happened to Alexa isn't new. Even that specific instance reeks of a recent specific instance. They obviously put someone, a journalist, in the hospital inside of this building, where all the fascism happens every day, inside of this building right here. Authoritarianism and fascism requires repression of the press. When the state is brutalizing people for speaking up, for protesting, for fighting back against what they're doing, the more journalists that they can take out of that situation, the farther they can go in their repression, right? And so when people start to get brutalized more, start to get repressed more, they start arresting journalists more. They want to keep that story under wraps. When they arrest us, when they take away our gear, when they break our gear, when they sideline us, that means that we can't tell the story of what they're doing. That's right. And that's not right.
That's not right.
So, Mr. DA, drop the charges.
Drop the charges!
Drop the charges today.
Drop the charges today!
Disband the SRG, ICE out of New York, free Alexa.
We have a journalist that is going to be calling in from Chicago and talking about the experiences covering the ICE protests there, where ICE are documented attacking visibly marked press. But we need a minute to set up the megaphone. So should we just go to the next speaker and then do that in the background, or do you guys want to just like wait awkwardly and have them chant or something?
Next speaker, please.
Next speaker, okay. So in that case, we are going to have, what do you want to, I don't know, go by. How do I introduce you? Okay, a speaker from WOWOG, Riders Against the War on Gaza. Thank you.
Hi everybody. I don't give speeches often, so bear with me. From Gaza to New York, we are watching as oppressors of the world are systematically targeting and persecuting journalists at a rate that is staggering. This year, more journalists have been assaulted and criminalized by the state than ever before. Meanwhile, nearly 6,000 miles away, the US and Israel wage a genocide, the bloodiest assault on journalists in recorded history. This is no coincidence. They must silence the truth to protect the narrative war. But they're losing. Right? Yes. Yes. In Gaza, journalists are stalked and harassed with threatening IOF phone calls. Their homes are bombed. Their families are bombed. They get arrested, tortured, and starved. They distance themselves from loved ones amidst a genocide because they know as journalists they wear a target. There are no special protections and no press vests that can save them. They run towards the most horrific scenes of people they know being slaughtered, sometimes several horrific scenes in a single day, and then risk their life to find working internet to transmit the truth to us. And of course, all too often, they're murdered intentionally and cruelly in very grotesque ways. Here, in the so-called land of the free press freedom, journalists who dare to fulfill their mandate to document reality and report the truth are facing escalating retaliation. They are surveilled, raided, harassed, assaulted, and arrested for capturing the moments empire would prefer to stay hidden, as we've just heard countless awful stories about. This weekend, we saw the violent raid and arrest of Alexa Wilkinson, who now faces aggravated harassment charges with a hate crime enhancement. Shame! Shame! Bullshit! Bullshit! Carrying a possible 4-year prison sentence, insane, for documenting and posting truthfully. Shame! Shame! Just yesterday, journalists were brutalized by police at immigration court for simply recording the atrocities unfolding within the walls of 26 Federal Plaza. Shame! Shame! Across the country, those doing their duties as members of the press are being intimidated. But let's be very, very fucking clear. The repression we're seeing here is not separate from what is happening in Gaza. It is interconnected. The same military-industrial complex that arms Israel also trains U.S. police forces. The same surveillance tech used to track and kill Palestinian journalists is sold back to U.S. agencies. The same logic that justifies bombing press offices in Gaza or Yemen or any of the countries we've seen bombed over the past 2 years is what allows police here to assault reporters on the job. In both cases, journalism that challenges empire is treated as a threat. And it is. The truth will always be a threat to those in power. This attack on press freedom is not just parallel, it's coordinated. When journalists speak truth to power about kidnapping, immigration, genocide, displacement, and borders, whether in Rafah or Manhattan, the response is the same: silence them. I would also be very remiss not to mention the other individuals who are now being targeted in this wave of repression against the movement for Palestinian liberation right here in New York City. Anna Owens and Sarah Schaff, alleged to have been involved in the action, they each face up to 7 years in state prison for charges of criminal mischief. Shame! 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 We must also protect those who may not be journalists but have heeded repeated calls for escalation and whose actions reflect humanity and seek to expose the truth and hold those in power accountable for their crimes that we have all been talking about today. Alexa's arrest didn't happen in a vacuum. It followed a direct action against one of the largest propaganda arms of the war machine, the criminal New York Times. This was not random. It was intentional. The action on July 30th against the New York Times must be understood as a proactive effort to extract consequences, in this case, reputational and financial consequences, from the people and institutions enabling the crime of all crimes. The Times does not practice journalism that protects freedom. It manufactures consent for genocide. As Palestinian journalist Hassam Shabat, who was assassinated by Israel in March, once said, "Language is important. Language makes genocide justifiable. A reason why we are still being bombed after 243 days is because of the New York Times." Shame! Shame! And here too, language is used to justify repression, to call documenting the truth harassment, to call press coverage incitement, to call solidarity a crime. We must continue to speak up for our colleagues in Palestine. We must continue to defend our journalists and activists here in the Imperial Corps. And we must never lose sight of the fact that all of this is connected. From Gaza to New York, from Jenin to Chicago, repression travels through shared weapons, shared narratives, and shared silence. But so does resistance. "We keep us safe" is not a tagline, it is a mandate. We must continue to apply pressure until the press is free, until those answering the call to escalate are free, and of course, Palestine is free. Thank you so much.
Hi, thank you. So up next we have a journalist from Chicago that I'm going to be calling, and we're going to listen in and chat with them on the megaphone. Their name is Lee Kunkel, the freelance journalist from Chicago who attended the rally at the Broadview Ice Processing Facility outside of Chicago last week. So now we're going to awkwardly, this should be connected, but we'll see. I don't know what I'm doing. Hello?
Hi.
Lee, welcome to New York City and all of the press people. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Hi. I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit about your experiences as a member of the press in Chicago and your thoughts on the news happening out of New York and anything else you'd like to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for inviting me to speak. I'm really honored that I get to represent people in Chicago. So yeah, my name is Lee. I'm a freelance journalist here in Chicago. Fascism and breaking news isn't my usual beat. I originally attended the protest at the Broadview Ice Processing Facility as a community member who was desperate to do something to support my neighbors. But pretty much as soon as I arrived at 7 a.m. last Friday, I felt compelled to begin documenting what I saw. And the reason that it felt so essential is that even as a member of the media who closely follows the work done by local outlets, I was still shocked to see what was happening. So internally, I switched from protester to journalist, and I got out my camera. The morning began with a sniper indiscriminately shooting pepper rounds into a small huddle of people praying and singing "We Shall Overcome." I can't overstress how peaceful it was. No one was chanting or yelling insults, both of which would have been constitutionally protected speech anyway. No one was approaching the facility. He stood 20 yards away. He was behind a fence and on a roof, shooting at civilians as though they were a threat. A shard of pepper ball hit my partner in the eye, and he required help from the medics. But that was just a warm-up. Ice quickly escalated, and it became clear that while they were not picky about who they assaulted, they were specifically targeting those of us who were documenting their abuses. Things came to a head when multiple agents moved from behind the fence into the parking lot where the protesters and press were gathered. They approached with their weapons pointed at chest and head level, not firing at the ground as a warning, as the government has sometimes suggested, but firing at unarmed people with the intent to hit them. One agent in a skull mask took aim at one of the co-founders of Unraveled Press, who had been there every day covering their assaults on the public, and they deliberately shot her in the temple. I didn't see a single protester throw a rock or a bottle or anything else. It was rare for anyone to even attempt to approach the line of agents, and those who did so with their hands out to make it clear that they were not a threat. But the agents kept firing. Another journalist and I ducked behind a van to continue filming as the ICE agents shot at the crowd. I heard someone yell, "They're ambushing you." And then a pepper round exploded against the back of my head. Two agents had flanked the van we were using as protection and were deliberately aiming at myself and the other journalist. I ducked down to see whether I was bleeding, and as I was crouched behind the van, clearly injured and no threat to anyone, those agents took aim and shot me in the face. My nose started bleeding profusely, and the journalist I was with rushed me to the medic. Because I was wearing protective gear, I only had a burst blood vessel and not a broken nose. All of this is documented. You can watch a video of me on Instagram being shot in the face. You can clearly see the agents who did it, hiding behind masks and camo gear. There's no ambiguity. They were aiming for those of us who were trying to show the world what they're doing. An assault on the press is not inherently more egregious than an assault on anyone else, but it does serve a different purpose. It's intended to hide what they're doing from the public. And I want to be very clear, what they're doing is unlawful. They're intentionally enacting violence on civilians, beginning with the people they're kidnapping. It's clear and undeniable, and that is why they want us to stop documenting it. As a citizen of Illinois, I'm grateful that Governor Pritzker has been clear about the authoritarian methods that the government has been using. But this week, he called on us as citizens to document what's happening. It has been documented by hundreds of people, both journalists and not. Now's the time for him and every local and state government to take action. If you believe what ICE is doing is illegal and authoritarian, which it is, show up. Put your bodies on the line. Pursue every legal strategy to prevent your constituents from being assaulted. Do everything in your power to put up every roadblock you can, because if this is what ICE is doing in the daylight on camera, what they're doing to the people they kidnap can only be immeasurably worse. Our leaders in the Democratic Party and any Republican who truly believes in democracy and the rule of law need to act now while they still can. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak. I hope this reaches someone.
Thank you so much. All right. Let's see. Who else we have lined up? We're supposed to have the public advocate. I'm told that they're going to be here in 5 minutes. So the public advocate, Jumaane Williams, will be here in 5 minutes. Until he gets here, I want to chat a little bit about a couple of things that I forgot to mention. One, we would like for people to contact the Manhattan DA's office asking that they drop Alexa's charges. Alexa is being charged with a hate crime and aggravated harassment for taking photos and for expressing their opinions online. It's not a threat. Speech is not a threat inherently. This is the second photojournalist, video journalist in New York City who was arrested and raided and charged with hate crimes for documenting protest activity. The first was Sam Seligson last year, almost exactly a full year ago. So this is a pattern that is emerging. This isn't coming out of a vacuum. This isn't the first. This will not be the last. I want to talk a little bit about myself also. I told you earlier that I'm an independent journalist. I cover protests, social movements. I also report on the far right. I'm not sure if you remember any reporting about Drag Story Hour being harassed, about anti-vaxxers targeting clinics, about migrant shelters being harassed, but that was my coverage that led the way before the mainstream cared.
Thank you.
Thank you. As a result of that, I have made some very unwell people very angry. I have been doxxed. I have been assaulted. I have been threatened. I am currently being threatened. It gets weirder. I'm being accused of organizing the January 6th Capitol riot in an effort to get me jailed and silenced. I have had campaigns attempting to take away my press credentials for exposing far-right networks harassing and threatening and harming children in New York City. Shame! I have had efforts to get my press credentials taken away, to have people go to my home to target me. I have had things sent to me unwanted.
Unacceptable.
I have had threat letters, totally nuisance legal lawfare, thrown against me in an effort to suppress my reporting, campaigns to get my account suspended, to get me fired from my job, on and on and on, because I cover things that far-right extremists and authoritarians do not want covered. And this is a microcosm of what we are talking about today. I am talking about a small collection of people in New York City targeting a very small New York City journalist. What we are seeing with Alexa, thank you. What we are seeing with Alexa, what we are seeing with the photographers in 26 Federal Plaza, with journalists in Chicago, with my colleague JP, who has been arrested in basically every city that they go to. What we are seeing is all part of the same system of repressing the people documenting, the voices raising awareness, killing the canaries in the coal mine before they even get into the coal mine, so that they cannot alert you that things are really not good.
Really not good.
Really not good.
Good.
To keep it PG. So that is my experience. I have tried legal measures to protect myself, and none of them work. All I can do is continue to report the truth.
Thank you.
That is all any of us can do. I don't think I bought enough time for the public advocate to show up. So I want to open the floor to any other journalists who have been arrested, who might want to talk about their experience, visibly pressed at protests, having their equipment seized, including Javier, who's filming. Do you want to talk a little bit? No. See, that's the thing.
Oh no.
We're not supposed to be doing this. We don't like doing this.
Doing great though.
Thank you.
Where's the newspaper guild in all this?
Where is the newspaper guild? That's right. Where are the mainstream cameras?
I can talk
Nobody
on my-
cares.
I can talk on my assault.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks ago.
But that is a good point though. Like when it happens to us, oh well, you know, we're fodder. It doesn't really matter. It's only when it happens to someone who's staffed at a major outlet
But if,
that suddenly cares.
if they can get away with doing it with you, it's not going to stop with you.
That's right.
Yes,
If they can get away with doing it to the independent press, on the fringes and the weirdos and the punks, they are not going to stop with us. They are using us to manufacture consent, to go after major media outlets, to go after the institution of journalism as a whole. And we have to stand up against that now, before it gets to that point. All right, Ian, you want to chat a little bit?
Sure.
All right, we're going to do Ian again.
This is not about Alexa, although we're here for Alexa. And,
Drop the charges!
Drop the charges! Free Alexa.
Shameful.
So, this was an event that happened 2 weeks ago today. And I was at the Brooklyn Navy Yards documenting a protest there. And there was an action that I wasn't aware of, and it got a little heated. The police were called. There was about, I would say, about 50 or so police officers called to the action where where protesters blocked the entrance to the Navy Yards, and there were people that were perturbed, people that were trying to get into the building and started getting aggravated and aggressive towards the protesters. I went over to document it and was immediately hit by one of these guys. They slapped the camera up into my face and cut me open like this in front of the police officers. I don't know if you can see that. I received a gash about 1 inch wide. The police officers were standing next to the person as they did it. They saw everything. They saw the cut, and they turned their backs on me and let the guy that assaulted me walk away. And now I have a case against not only the police officers that walked away and didn't arrest the guy, but I have a case against the guy that assaulted me, and they could have fixed it there and then, and they chose not to. So that's just another instance of negligence and misconduct by the NYPD. And it's just a knock-on effect. It's a design to keep us quiet, stop us from pointing the cameras, stop us from turning up. But will we be silenced?
No!
No! We must keep showing the truth, exposing the lies, and you know, we have to stand up for each other. We're a community, and we're here to document and provide information. So I just want to also say, like, it's been a very tough couple of weeks, and my heart goes out to Alexa and her family. Everybody. Okay. All right. Sure. Yeah. So I've just received a message that Alexa is watching this live.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't say that.
She is. I know she is. Yeah. She has been watching.
Oh, good.
I video called her as well to show her what was happening, and she's moved by how many people turned up today. And I just want to thank you all on behalf of Alexa for showing up, offering support, and we need to continue to do so because this isn't over by any means. And this isn't about the people speaking here today. This is about Alexa and the freedom to continue documenting and photographing. So thank you everybody for turning up. Appreciate it.
Great. And now we have J.W. Walker from Rise and Resist, which, if you're not familiar, is a really big like advocacy protest group. They made these wonderful signs for us, which was like really, really heartfelt. So thank you guys for that. If you want to speak a little bit.
Go Chad! Thank you, Talia. Yeah, I was not expecting to speak, but all I want to say is that we have been seeing the abuses that these agents of ICE have been committing against immigrants, against their families, against observers, against people who are coming to offer the assistance to immigrants who are facing the horrors that ICE is visiting upon them for months now. I think that if we can put two and two together, we know that the attack by that one ICE person against the wife of someone that they had just kidnapped last week, and the way that journalists' videos and images and reporting on that particular incident caused that incident to go viral and go global in a way that most of the incidents of ICE violence do not.
That's right.
I think that we can draw a direct line from that incident to the attack on journalists at 26 Federal Plaza yesterday. These are weak, spineless, hateful men who are drawn to that profession. They cannot handle scrutiny. They cannot handle the truth of their actions being put in front of their faces. And so they behave like small, petulant, poorly brought up children, and they lash out. We see that with these ICE people, with DHS. We see it with NYPD at protests constantly and have done so for years. And we're going to be stuck in that cycle until we the people and we the press and our legal system hold these law enforcement individuals to account.
Yes,
all right? We need a class action lawsuit against the NYPD alone for the violence that they have committed, the needless violence that they have committed against people who are peacefully protesting or peacefully documenting protests.
Shame!
All right? We need to hold our politicians accountable. Whenever there is a debate for this mayor's race, I want whatever debate moderator is asking questions to ask a question about the way that our press and our people are treated when we are exercising our constitutional First Amendment right.
That's right.
All right? We have got to take a stand. Fascism is not coming. Fascism is here.
That's right.
And it is up to us to fight this authoritarian, fascist, Project 2025 regime that is in place and to keep it from taking a stranglehold on our republic that will never be loosened. We've got 3 years to make sure that we get it out, and then we've got to worry about getting rid of it across the rest of the world.
That's right.
But in the meantime, we have to stand up for human rights, we have to stand up for the First Amendment, and we have to stand up for the journalists who are one of our last bulwarks against losing every right that we have.
Yes!
All right, thank you.
I actually watched Jay get doxxed in real time while covering a drag story hour
By
protest.
someone with a very bad weave.
But extremely bad. Like, I don't think there's any glue in there.
No.
Anyway, we still have a couple of minutes until the public advocate is going to be here and give some more remarks. So I just want to open the floor again to anyone who would like to, share their experience, facing state repression. Also, if you're curious as press, actually, I'm just going to do this real quick. The press people here, if you're curious about ways to stay safe, you really can't. If they're going to target you, they're going to find a reason. And that goes for all of us, press and activists and just regular people alike. They do what they want. That's how authoritarianism works, right? But one thing that you can do is, if you are concerned, talk to the people that you live with about what to do if the police come knocking and what to do if they bust down your door. Talk about what to do if they take all of your devices. If you have an archive of any kind, back it up on a hard drive and then back that hard drive up on another hard drive and keep that somewhere safe. The intention of Alexa's arrest is a fishing expedition to find other people who are involved, which is ridiculous, because why would the person who's shooting, just taking photos, know that? It is also an effort to silence our speech documenting acts of protest that fall outside the boundaries of what's acceptable. I had to negotiate with the NYPD to be able to use the megaphone for that phone call, saying that I could not use the megaphone or any sound system for anything else today. I had to negotiate so you would be able to hear someone share their story or face arrest if we did not comply, which is ridiculous. Honestly, maybe we should use the megaphone and then they'll turn this into a big publicity stunt and then maybe the New York Times and AP and etc. will care. What do you guys think? Do you want to get arrested today? Who wants to get arrested? No? Okay, won't do it.
New York Times spin on it though?
Yeah, the New York Times would be like, 15 extremists arrested for punching cups.
With green hair.
With green hair.
Or something.
Yeah, it's supposed to be blue, but it's faded. This is extremely uncomfortable. Trying to buy time. Huh? Yeah. Just don't say anything. Don't say anything that is gonna land me on a watch list.
I'll do my best.
We're all on one big
My name's
I'm
Mike.
already on the list. I'm just kidding.
My name is Michael, and I'm in a lot of the places where you guys are working as journalists. And one of the places that I spend a lot of time is at 26 Federal Plaza. And I disagree with some of the work that the journalists do. I don't think that you should be publishing children's faces. I think it's really important. This is such a difficult moment for families, and they deserve privacy and dignity. And I've talked to journalists about it, and some people will make that decision, and some people won't. But authoritarians will do what they do and be able to consolidate their power 10 times more quickly if they're doing it in the dark. So we need you as journalists. We need you there at every protest, and we appreciate you and are grateful for that. In terms of the baby men that work at 26 Federal Plaza, like, the immigration machine is one thing that actually could stop in an instant. If you said, I'm not gonna break up a family and arrest someone because they're moving, like, my God says you may move on earth. That's not a crime to do that. If you stopped, you'd be fine. Like, we would end that machine in a second, and everyone would be safer. Oh yeah. Okay, so there's the frog analogy, the boiling water, and the frog would jump out if it just jumped into hot water and jumped out. Apparently, A, that's not true, and B, it's not that useful. It's like a scare tactic that things are just going to get worse and worse and worse. Another analogy that I've heard is there's a kind of beetle that when it's eaten by the frog, it slowly eats its way out the frog's anus, and that's what we need to be doing, is busting our way all the way through and get through this time so that we know eventually they'll be held to account. Eventually their masks will be ripped off. We know that day will come. It's just, what do we do in the meantime to minimize the damage that they can do?
All right, at last, finally. I'd like to introduce the New York City Public Advocate, Jumaane Williams.
Peace and blessings, love and light to everybody. I just want to say thank you to the journalists. Thank you so much, not just for being here, but being over there, being all across the country, covering what's happening right now. Thank you so much. We thank you now. History thanks you in advance for capturing what's going on. I want to say well wishes to the journalist who was thrown to the ground over there at 26 Federal Plaza. Was it yesterday? I heard that he's doing better. I know that the journalist that is facing deportation right now, just for covering what's going on. I need everyone to know, one, we're all in this together. That includes our journalists, that includes our trans community, that includes our immigrant community, that includes everyone. When authoritarianism takes over, when they're trying to really instill fascism, they go after everybody. I also know, and this is a message to folks who drank the orange Kool-Aid a little bit too much, This is the result of that. This is the result of really believing that whatever situation you're in is because of some other group, some group that you don't like, and someone who's giving you permission not to like them. This is the result of that. Journalism is definitely not a crime. Journalism is needed now more than ever.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that the journalists will continue to have the courage that's needed. I never say don't have any fear, because fear is human, but let's do the best that we can to match that fear with courage. I have a message also for New Yorkers and Americans, not the actual Nazis, not the actual white supremacists and the actual KKK folks. I'm talking about the folks who said that's not what they were voting for. I'm talking to the folks who said we were exaggerating about what was going to happen in this country. We were exaggerating about thoughts of authoritarianism. We were exaggerating about a wannabe dictator, a wannabe fascist. My question to you, and I want you to answer this honestly, what else do you need to see? What do you need to see to be convinced about what's happening now? You see it on the TV, you hear about it, you see videos, you see your neighbors being thrown to the ground. Not some criminals, by the way, even if you were accused of something, you shouldn't be treated that way, but not the criminals they spoke of. They lied to you. They always had a way to deal with people who were dealing with criminal issues. They wanted to instill fear to certain communities. They wanted to use that fear to do very bad things, and they now want to make sure that journalists cannot cover. Please ask yourselves and be honest, what else do you have to see? We are in history. It is happening now. That is the case. And the things you've seen the worst of in history began somewhere. They began just like this. So now is the time for everyone to step up, do with what you can, what you have, where you are. When you read the history books, you read about very specific names, names that we all know. What I want to do is to convince New Yorkers and remind Americans there are tens of thousands of people who we will never know their name, but we got past the worst in history because of them. So there is a part that you can play. There are people who made sandwiches. There are people who sung songs. There are people who prayed with folks. There are people who just showed up. So there's always something that we can do, and we have to do it. It is only going to get worse before it gets better, but I believe that we can get through this. People say this is not who America is. Unfortunately, it actually is. And so I just want to let folks know this is, but there's always been a better America that we here are a part of. That better America has always helped move us forward. Please be honest with yourself when you hear about an action, when you hear about what's going on. We can't be silent and we can't just tweet. We got to be out here. We have to be out here. My children and my children's children who aren't born yet are depending on us stepping up and telling Trump, you've won a couple battles, but you won't win the war. We are going to make sure we stand up for the better America. Journalism is not a crime. Neither is being an immigrant. Neither is being trans. Neither is being black. Neither is being a woman. We are all here. You will not erase us. Peace and blessings.
All right, so real quick, we have Ashwood, who was at the 1968 DNC, who wants to talk a little bit about a legacy of activism and what you're seeing today.
Well, I'm an old hippie. I'm in my 80s.
Woo!
Thank you for allowing me half a minute. I'm the artist of this painting. I painted this. The title is Women Femme Slam Cuomo. That's the message. The message is that none of the issues are being addressed in this mayoral candidacy. The press doesn't ask the right questions, and we don't press them enough to ask the right questions. They should be here. I want to see Ken Dami here, I want to see Cuomo here, I want to see Curtis Leawood here talking to people. Instead they just buy advertising, raise money in the Hamptons and buy advertising. In 1968, at 3 in the morning, I was there with my roommate Jerry Rubin. The gendarmes, the soldiers, National Reserve, came in with bayonets to get us out of Grand Park. I suffered 18 stitches in my chest, bayonet. I almost died. All right? Jerry, as some of you know, became one of the Chicago 7. They went to trial, a very famous trial. He's my roommate here afterwards, here in New York. And that's what they do. They use power. They use strength. We need to fight fire with fire. We need to stand up to that. That's what it's about. We have a landlord-tenant court right here that doesn't start until 10:30. They're 6 months backed up in their cases, and they don't start until 10 or 10:30. Why? Because they're underfunded. He who has the gold makes the rules. The real estate industry has the gold. They're the biggest single taxpayer of the city, property taxes. So they run the rules. They run the mayor, they run the politicians, they run the judges. And we're not asking these questions. They talk about affordable housing. What do they mean? Describe it. What is it? We used to have SROs, single residency occupants, hotels. When we brought in all of the people 2 or 3 years ago, we opened up some of those hotels. We don't do it now. We have 160,000 people on the streets between the shelters and what was on the street. They're dying every week in these shelters. The press isn't covering any of that. The EMS takes them off to the hospital. They're dying in the hospital because they fell down the stairs, broke their neck. Right? They're dying every single day on the streets and in these shelters. And nobody's covering any of this. None of the legitimate press is covering any of this, right? So we need to see them here answering questions because this is a mayoral candidate. One of the few times as the public we get a chance to vote, right? But it's divide and conquer. It's always divide and conquer. They split us up. You all, we all, we're the only ones that can bring this up. We got to confront the press, the legitimate press, and stand up. Stand up, please, please. I'm going out. I'm dying. I won't be here 20 years from now. This is your country. This is your job. And good luck. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
One thing, though, I will say is that all press is legitimate press. If you are showing up to document and to report what's happening, you are legitimate. You do not need the backing of a major media outlet. You do not need a byline in a newspaper that people leave on the subway. You are press if you show up and document. You don't need this card. If you want to cover things, you show up and do it. The work is the work. That's it. People who sit at a desk and pontificate about how we're not legitimate are not doing journalism. They're being assholes. I dare any of them to show up and cover what's happening at 26 Federal Plaza, to cover the overdoses that are happening in these SROs, to cover the assaults on journalists who are trying to cover protests in the street. They don't show up. They rely on us to find out what's happening, and then they write about it from their high-rises. Nonsense. I don't have health care. They do. What the hell? I need health care way more than they do. You know what I mean? Anyway, thank you guys so much for coming out. Please, please, please contact Manhattan District Attorney's Office, Alvin Bragg. You can find the phone number. Just quick Google. I can't look it up right now. If someone wants to yell it in the crowd, I'm queuing him up a little bit. If you want to call, please call. 212
335
9000. Tell them, drop the charges!
Drop the charges!
Tell them journalism is not a crime!
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 Thank you guys so much! Alright, now let's go cover some crazy shit. Woo!